It'll tell me when it's live. You know, it's telling me that my premium, my X account requires
yeah. Oh, you need a membership.
Yeah, like a premium.
Yeah.
I ain't giving Elon no goddamn money.
Yeah, I got one. I use it. Yeah, I got.
All right, so we on, man. Here we are. This is supposed to be 3 the hard way, but it's going to be 2 the hard way tonight. And you know what? That's just the way it is. That's just how we roll. It might be 4 the hard way one night, and it might be 18 the hard way. We got the subscription that says we can have up to 10. So it might be like some Brady Brunch screen stuff happening if y'all come in here.
We're gonna have to change that name probably. You just said the hard way way too many times just now.
Yeah.
I'm not mature enough for this conversation.
You know what? Knock it off. So it's a very famous movie that people should go out and watch. Yes. It should be educational. As a matter of fact, those of y'all that run schools, you should bring 3 the hard way to school if you want to get fired. Anyways, so what are we going to talk about tonight, brother? Because we were going to do 3 issues, but now we're going to do 2 issues.
Yeah,
and it's not really issues. We are putting words out into the world because we want the world to recognize that like there's some thought product going on. Yes, we can shuck and jive and laugh and have a good time and do all that type of stuff because that's what you do. At the same time, there's lots of stuff happening in the world and people are lying about it all around us, So anyways, let's start with your piece.
Yeah.
Explain to us what your piece is about.
Well, it's a series. I've been doing this 5-part series on Huey P. Newton and his dissertation. And I know, we've talked about this before. You like to collect dissertations and read them just to see what people about that got them. If you've never read his, is really one of the best. It's called The War Against the Panthers, something like that. You should be able to get to it from there. And it's just profound. And there's a lot of things that's been happening today in society and education. And then I see a lot of people take up these pseudo militant leadership roles for Black people. And I always just wonder how Huey P. Newton would be responding if he were here and in good, sound mind. And so I just ran a few different scenarios based off of his words and what he says. And it's just been really interesting. So like the last one, would he be engaging in these conversations about schools and like these white people ran schools where Black kids are in and not being able to read? Would he be fighting for them to have the equality or equity, or would he had just, been on our heads about why do you want to be in that? Like, let's just have something better, and also had the will to like execute it. So, you can check it out on my Substack, man. But we have 4 of the 5 written. But for conversational sake, Chris, just what do you think Huey would be saying to certain topics that might be happening in education or in our communities today?
I mean, man, it's a loaded question because I could see where he was going towards the 80s. He was becoming more mainstream. Right.
Trying to get elected. And
yeah, when he passed away, he was actually, and a lot of people.
My bad. Seals was the one that
Seals wanted to be mayor.
Yeah.
And that's another good point, though. I mean, a lot of them brothers that were in leather jackets and holding guns eventually put on suits and skinny ties. And we're about to become like the political class. So I don't know if he would have stuck with what maybe he would have been, what God, what's her name in Compton? Maxine Waters. Maybe he would have been the type where he could have gotten in and still cause trouble, right? Still get in and hold everybody.
Like a Ron Dellums, who helped end apartheid and was the mayor of Oakland.
Yeah, like somebody like that who gets into office, but it remains their self. You know what I mean?
His daughter was my teacher. She was my art teacher in high school.
That's dope. What I also would say about this is I think we over promote the Blackness of what they were doing because they were Californians. They had multicultural relationships with Chicanos and Asians, and there were other people. Like there was an Asian copycat group that tried to do the Black Panthers thing, and they were like aiding and abetting other groups to get their thing together. Yes, they were fighting for Black people, but they knew for a fact that it was everybody versus white folks.
Well, I mean, the Rainbow Coalition, it was poor people, right? Like when you think about what Fred Hampton was doing out in Chicago, right? Pulling those poor white people along because it was the police brutality on poor people. But yeah, but coalition building is a larger thing, is the larger point you're getting at.
One, and there's a big difference between Oakland and Chicago.
That's true.
Oakland is a very different punch bowl,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like none I've ever seen. Like
Right.
honestly, if you're not
It's
from
definitely
Oakland,
not Midwest white
yes,
people in
bro,
our
listen, it's not even West or East Coast. You know, where everything. Listen, bro, there are kids walking around Oakland. I can't tell what their background is.
Mm-hmm.
You see some mixes that you don't see anywhere else in the world, especially Asian, black, white,
Yeah.
you know, all kinds of. And that's just as far as I can remember. Oakland had that. You know, when they said "power to the people," they were meaning this broad group of people, and they were very clear about the institution and the establishment was the problem, right? But then they were going to join it. So I don't know. What do you think he would be doing right now? And why do you ask this question anyways? Is it to gain some sense of what we would do right now?
Yeah, like almost like a baseline, a barometer of like, you know, I've been struggling with over our last few conversations and just over the last few years is this notion where people have disrespected our ancestors and I'm not my ancestors, even though they don't mean the disrespect. But then this notion of we should be doing as much as them. But if I was able to tap into them, I think that they would be like, with everything you guys have, with the access to technology and knowledge and just funds and money, you guys should be doing 10x of what we're doing.
Mm-hmm.
And because I see people posture and take up all this litany of issues, but can't really execute on anything that's not superficial, well, it's just I needed to a palate cleanser. Like I needed to like drown out the noise. So I've been reading, you know, we did New Niagara. That's part of the reason, because I was in Booker and W.B. Du Bois and like really watching how they moved, or like, you know, Fred Hampton, or I've been reading all these people. And then I'm reading Jarvis's book again on fugitive pedagogy. And just when you think about the ways in which those people were organized, understood the assignment of like Spook, who sat next to the door, where I'm this mainstream, but underneath I'm smart enough. I'm not rattling that cage, but I'm teaching these kids about who they are. And it seems like we should be smarter than what they've done for us. And I feel like we're regressing. So that's why I had to throw myself into that series. Sorry to be long-winded, but that's the passion behind the series.
So my question for you, which is it's a provocation or whatever what they say, provocation.
Maybe a provocateur.
Yeah, you know, like I just got out of penitentiary for provocations. For you is why when we do these type of things we look so far back? Because the piece that I sent to you, I drew upon W.B. Du Bois, and I think the youngest person would have been Andrew Young, right?
Okay.
And Andrew Young was old when I was young. So my question for you is like, why wouldn't we look at people more recently, like Jeffrey Canada?
Oh, absolutely.
Who actually did the thing that we want to do now in today's, and he did it in a big way. And that's a much more recent business model to look at and be like, okay, let's see what you did here. Because
I feel like he's unsung. I feel like he's underrated. Like, you know, there was that he had that moment, but then it just kind of went away, but he's still been doing the work.
He's still been doing the work. And actually after he left the work in good shape.
Right.
That's the part that's, you know, to me, the unsung part is somebody else took that over. And if you talk to Sean Dove did a lot of that work there for them. But why isn't that model popping up in other places? I mean, they did a whole multiple neighborhoods and making sure that everybody had everything that they needed beyond just school. It was like a village building.
Yeah.
That's what it should be. They were village builders.
Yeah.
All right, Charles, we're going to build a village. Who gets to come and who's not in?
Well, before we get into that bag of worms, I would say that can of worms. Let me answer your question. Why did I go so far back, not looking more recently? And honestly, subconsciously, I wanted to look at a more analog version. I wanted to look at these analog versions where resources were somewhat stripped, or in the case of the Panthers, it was built up amongst that group of people. You know, so I wanted to get to a place of analog. I didn't want to enter the digital age per se, or you know, the age where a Jeffrey Canada can move around so freely and do what he does and go under the radar. And that's why I even went back further before that, like just going back and rereading Douglas, like how Douglas stole and took his education and became one of the greatest orators and communicators of all time. And I'm looking at maybe and I don't want to land in this fucked up place of maybe we kind of got too much, and it's not the poor, the my creativity when I'm poor and I'm depleted of resources is not kicking in and combining with the access of the technology. And I don't want to land there because I like nice shit. So I'm trying to understand. I sound like I was smoking something when I thought of this stuff, but I really wasn't.
You gotta stay out the outlet mall, bro. Like seriously.
I like my pad, my iPads and stuff, right? Like, so but is it tamping us down? Are the luxuries tamping us down? Is the concept it's hard to get up at 5 a.m. when you're sleeping on silk sheets? I think socially and materialistically, we sleeping on silk sheets right now.
Yeah,
there are no more rent parties, Chris.
No, there still are, but it's not in our circles. Right?
Did you ever throw a rent party? You have to tell me one day.
Yeah, well, I didn't have to throw rent parties when it was on me because I was always a relationship person, so I was always able to get stuff from people, right? Like, I always had some way to pull out a rabbit out of a hat in the last minute,
right?
So this is an interesting point, and this is what I'll say about that. Is that right now I'm in the process of selling all my luxury goods. I got a room full of bags. I've got stuff I've accumulated. This life I've lived for the last 10 to 8 to 9 years or whatever.
You're like, I'm getting soft. Damn.
Well, and it wasn't just that. It's just that it doesn't do much to keep you clear.
Right.
And I'm trying to clear now. I'm trying to clear. That's my word. I'm trying to transparent my head. So actually, this will, I'm selling my, and if you're everybody listening, you just want to find me because this is all for sale. So I'm selling,
I wonder what you said. I might buy.
I'm selling my Apple Ultra watch, and I bought a Casio, which will be here tomorrow. So my Casio, even the Fitbit was too much for me. I'm selling that too. I'm just getting a Casio. All I wanted to do is tell time. I'm selling my iPhone 15 Pro Max, and I've already replaced it with a 13 mini, and I've wiped all the apps off of the mini. So I'm not going to be getting notifications. I've made this new deal with my phone. You are for production, not for consumption.
Okay.
And that for me has changed a lot of other things. So I'm actually here you go, because you're an Apple person, right?
I am.
So I'm unpacking my Apple phone. You know what that means? That means that that I bought 2 very small cameras that can fit in my pocket. So I'm no longer going to take pictures with my phone anymore. I'm going to use a real ass camera. And I got one of them's a Lumix, the smallest Lumix that there is. So I'm going to take good pictures. I'm going to take street photography level pictures.
Look, even, so that comes even out you're going back to basics, you're still bougie. Continue.
It doesn't even bougie, bro, because I bought that used from Japan, right? The unpacking I'm doing is actually less money, so I'm coming away with things that are simpler, right? I'm taking the notes out of my app. I'm real notes. I'm gonna have real notes, and just whatever. So I'm only saying that to say I wouldn't have done that for any other reason except for I'm tired of all the pomp and circumstance while our people are not clear.
Right.
We all should be clear right now. There's some stuff happening in the world right now, and it's too easy for me to just spend a night doom scrolling, right. And doom scrolling everywhere. Someone should take pictures of me. You at you're in the bathroom, doom scrolling. You in the car, doom scrolling. You on the freeway, doom scrolling, right? I mean, at some point you got to stop them. Whatever. That's my long-winded way.
You kind of agree with the notion that I was feeling though about why I wrote it.
Absolutely. Because when you say we're on silk sheets,
that's kind of thinking about it.
Yeah. I feel like I don't know what the message is though. Then,
right?
After you wrote what you wrote, okay. Now, if let's agree that it's true.
That's
then now what comes, right?
Right. So I guess the way that I'm looking at that would be, if that's true and there are enough people operating in that truth, then that means that there's action that's backed up by it. I think long gone, you should be able to just quickly, easily, in a nonchalant way, just be able to go and get any curriculum right now around Black history or Black studies or Black intellectual thought or physics. Our scholars, we should have already had I feel like we should have the mechanism with the technology here that every kid can get a quality education because it's right there for free on this worldwide web. You know what I'm saying? And it's and that's what I'm saying. If we had a 20th of the just focus, I think that those people had and applied it with today's technology and with that level of urgency. I just think that there'd be more things created by us where we're not so much at the teeth of this society that we like to call out. And that's just, and again, I go into these little weird holes, and that's why I did a 5-part series instead of 1 on the Substack, because I wanted to look at different problems from that lens and see what I would, and as a thought exercise, it always led me to some type of action where I don't have to wait on other people to do it. So I need to be creating and doing that stuff.
All right, so let me be provocative then. I'm gonna make a case. You the judge. I'm gonna make a case.
Okay.
There's nothing that is going wrong for our kids that is the fault of the system. If you want to have agency, you have to start with, I'm responsible. If Black children in this country are not learning right now, I'm a damn fool if I blame it on anybody else, because look what you just said. You said at our fingertips, and it's true. So we had ancestors that it took them weeks to figure out that the news came to them that they were emancipated.
Right.
Because that's how slow things traveled. But that note still got there. That note still got there, right?
Focus. It was focused.
Somebody came through rivers and scorched earth and was like,
I got stung by a scorpion, but I gotta get on this message.
Pass it along. Died right as they brought it.
Pass it along. At least the telephone happened, something.
My big thing this year and that I'm working on a lot is open education. And what that is basically saying is, let's collect all the resources that are free. Let's see what we have first. Let's do an audit. What is free to us right now? And what I found is there's entire textbooks, there's entire schools, and there's entire like MIT courses and Harvard courses. If you wanted to take a Harvard course tonight on child psychology, you could, right? For free. So when we think about, well, how are we going to start a school? How are we going to start an education co-op? How are we going to, teach them? Well, how are we going to learn those things? Now we're talking to a people that built 5,000 schools across the American South when there were no schools for Black people. And those schools weren't built by anybody else. Those schools were built by those Black communities. And then the teachers were hired and paid with nickels and quarters from those communities, right?
Ain't it crazy? It's a crazy thought.
So here we are in 2025 on satin sheets, like you said. Satin sheets in 2025. What the hell is the problem?
And the emancipation message is not making its way to everybody. And or you know what? That little person came with the message and you was like, I don't want to hear that shit. Yeah, don't tell me that. Because I like my shit. I like my stuff.
You can have your stuff and start.
I think you can too.
Education.
I think you can too. That's why I hate the theory. That's why I'm afraid. I don't want that theory to be true, because I like my stuff. Like, I don't want to denounce my things. But I sound soft right now because I am. So the point that I'm making is,
you don't have to denounce your thing.
I know, but I guess what I'm saying is, and I think we try, and you try and you put it out there, but there has to be somebody that also picks it up and wants it, like what we did in this new Niagara tour, or what, like we had this whole conversation about these Black boys not enrolling in Black college and HBCUs. I wrote a book for free 3 or 4 years ago that talked specifically about to these boys on how to get it. But it's to your point, Chris. I think with your logical brain, with your emotional brain, you can know in the back of your head and in the front of your head the logic of this situation, that there are systems that are out to hurt us. Racism is huge, all that stuff, man. And there's a lot of things that have been unfair that's happened to us and are still happening to us. But with your agentic brain, it has to just be like, ain't nothing nobody fault but mine. Well, if ain't nobody gonna help me, if ain't nobody coming to save me, or it ain't my fault, but it's my responsibility. If I don't do it, not only does nothing happen, it actually gets worse. So what do I do in lieu of?
I just want to keep pushing you on provocative questions then, right?
Okay. We can go to your topic, brother. I'm just
no. I'm loving this conversation because it's actually getting some stuff out that I might write about. But
okay.
Like you look back to things like Rosewood and Tulsa and these other places when night riders and folks were coming to villages to haunt us and do things to us. The Black men take up arms. The Black men get in the front of everybody else and say, not today, not tonight. And maybe it would be that day that it would still happen. A lot of people would die or get hurt in those skirmishes, but the men in the village would show up first and tell the women and children to do something different, like, whatever, right? What's the version of that today that is missing? Because we just talked about young black males being so broken that
Right.
that they can't even take the opportunities for college that our people fought for years. And we're babyfying them and infantilizing them and coming up with all kinds of reasons why they're dropping out of their role. And I'm wondering, like, the more you do that, the folks who are coming to Rosewood are going to love that.
Mhm.
Because now it means I'm coming to a village where everybody's it's just children,
Mhm.
right? It's women and children. So the government comes in with the women, and then the education system comes in for the kids. And it's like coming to Rosewood with no Mau Mau, like standing on the line. And I'm not saying that I'm ready to like do a Rosewood, but I'm just saying, what is the role today? What is the role?
Man, I think. Well, I think some people think it's crypto. I mean, there's somebody that would argue that. I ain't mad at y'all brothers. I just don't understand it.
Me either. Y'all got to stop smoking weed.
I just don't understand it. But I think it is independent education, man. I think it is independent, black-owned, untethered education, and it can be alongside this education system that you still need to navigate somewhat until further notice. I don't know. I'm realistic. I'm not. I think there is some value in a lot of these things that I've learned, right, in these systems, but I think it's a new form of education that does really roll up into it, the economics of things. I think the mental health of people in it. I think that part of that dip of what's happening to black boys and men, I think it is mental. I think it is like a psyop that's been done on us, man, like in certain kind of ways, and where you're not feeling safer at home anywhere, and you're trying to. Now, I don't know. I mean, if you let the internet tell it, but in my real life, my actual life where there's actual grass, the black men and the black women love each other, and they support each other and they protect each other. So I think it's a reestablishment of that black community, like a real community, not like this surface level. We're gonna do this trendy thing, we're gonna trip on these small things, but we can't focus on like 1, 2, or 3 just major issues that impact Black America. And I think it's having that conversation. I think it's also having that conversation with our brothers and sisters from the diaspora, and like, yo, this Black American versus like non-Black American Black person, like, we got to figure that out, because it keeps playing out and work in the worst ways. And I think there could be some real there. But I also don't deny that there's some tensions. I remember hosting things on my college campus. There was a Black-white panel and a Black and African panel, and the Black and African panel was so tense. There was just a lot of animosity between the two groups, and to see this play out now, 20 years later in the public sphere, it doesn't surprise me, but it's sad, because I think something real could happen. And so, yeah, I'm just trying to really reflect on what Huey would do and say and be a part of. But also, man, I gotta. There was a dark cloud at the end of that too. There's a final provocation with that. It cost that man his sanity. It cost him his peace, and led him down to a certain level of places. And am I willing to make that type of sacrifice when things are relatively good for me and the people I care about? Yeah. It's a real question that people have to ask, and I don't think people are honest in that assessment when they're talking to other people.
Dr. Fuller used to say this thing, he still probably says it, but about how every generation, he said some version of this, I'm going to butcher the quote, but every generation has to either fulfill their mandate or their obligation or forfeit, something like that.
Betray it or something like that.
Yeah, betray it. And like in every generation so far, the people have stood up. They've done their thing for their time. They did their thing for their time. Right. I'm wondering if we're going to be the first generation that embarrasses our ancestors, right? Because in terms of forward progress, when we have it the easiest, I wonder if we're going to be the first generation to embarrass our ancestors.
Right. And it's not
and our descendants, not just our ancestors, and our descendants.
Right, people coming after. And and Chris, it's not just if we progress one step more. No. We because of what we have available to us, it has to be exponentially more to be in lock and step.
Like compounding.
Right. Exactly. If they were on horseback, we're in jets. We can't brag about going the same distance. The jet should be ashamed of itself. You know what I mean? Like,
we should be doing so much more.
Right.
Like better off. We should not be talking about an achievement gap in 2025.
Exactly.
We should not be talking about our
They should be
kids
trying to tempt us back about supremacy at this point.
Listen,
y'all are too far ahead. Please stop.
I mean, listen, when I saw them take over the Capitol,
right?
I was like, you?
Wait, what is? Yeah,
really?
Supposed to do that?
I mean, the world was built for you, and you still
time where they put up the Black Fist at the Olympics. Like that's where our schedule should have been,
bruh. And that Black Fist was the sum total of our activism. These dudes took over the state capital, or the national capital of the United States, and and I'm sitting there like thinking, well, damn, they're more mad than we are, and the world was built for them,
right?
So how mad should we be? And I don't think we should be mad at all. I think we should have our money straight. What's that?
Silk sheets are soft, B. Silk sheets are soft.
I wonder if that can explain everything, though, because not all of our people don't have silk sheets. Not all of them do.
It can't.
So
and I actually don't mean like that everybody's just doing super well, but compared to where those people are and the level of threat that was always so present in their faces, like again, it's here and it's clear and present, but it ain't that. It's not Emmett Till, bro. It's not. I can come in and just take you, bro. Like they used to just be able to go in your house and take whatever they wanted. You know what I mean? Like it takes a different type of courage and a different type of mindset, like to just know that, like when you march, like the marches have been gentrified now. Like they have tea and crunkets at the marches, like there are no dogs, there are no bull connors. And I'm not saying we need that. It's great that it's not, but it takes a different level of courage at that point. You know what I'm saying?
I feel like the reason we go back to black and white photos so much is because that's the last time we remember people having a real strategy and really doing some things that were noteworthy. And I feel like we are jujitsu students who forgot the basics. So we're getting thrown around all over the place because we forgot the things that they always do. That's why we keep going to black and white photos. Like that was the last time we were great. Like what about the 90s? Right. What about 2005? What about 87? Right? Like what happened in all these other random years since the black photographs? Right. And I feel like
and Target's good, but Target's not that. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's good. It's good. I'm not. You know what I'm saying? But it's like, but I didn't feel the threat from Target, and I just. Target ain't Bull Connor.
Well, you don't have to give Target your money though.
You don't have to give anybody your money.
Yeah, well, I mean this is the thing. We can't just be hapless consumers. That's part of our problem.
I think that I have no issue with. I'm saying I'm just the parallel of who your enemy is, and again we can reframe it as corporations or whatever. That's fine. But like
you know what? You just made me think of something. Bill Connor is president.
They didn't elect president.
Bruh, that dude is throwing up so many roadblocks to us, between us and education is crazy.
I gotta process that.
When Bull Connor and them said, you're not going to go in this building, you're not going to go to this school, segregation today, segregation tomorrow, blah, 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 blah. And today you have somebody who's threatening to take hundreds of millions of dollars away from universities if they teach Black studies, right? The Black studies movement took a long time. It took a long time to do that. Right. As a matter of fact, you went to one of the colleges where it started, right?
San Francisco State.
That shit was hard. That was hard fought and won. So they had somebody with the stroke of the pen come in and be like, "No, we don't like that anymore. We think that's racist against white people to have that, and we're gonna go after it." When you start rooting that out, from
I got you. I got you.
Companies
it makes sense. I had a knee jerk reaction to that just because I don't like hyperbolic like comparisons, but I can see it. I can see it because it doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to quite literally be the same type of force and things like that. And you can even make that case in a lot of different ways with this young man being deported that didn't deserve to be deported. Like, I mean, that's some real gangster shit. And
even after they admit they were wrong about it, they
we're wrong, and we're gonna bring the other president in and tell you that we can't do it. And we are quite literally the two people in the world that can. We are the two people in the world that can do it.
I just want all my people, so many of my people got poli-sci degrees. I don't know why, but criminal justice, poli-sci, and psychology degrees are very big with Black folks, and business degrees. But for all my poli-sci right now, this is your moment to shine, because there are some things that no one else would know are weird and different about this moment. If you're a poli-sci person, then the average person would know. The average person would be like, "Oh yeah, he's not shredding the Bill of Rights." Bruh, you get picked up off the street and sent to an El Salvadorian prison, and then it's admitted in the media.
Crazy.
No due process, none of that. None of that constitutional stuff. We don't need it. I mean, we were lied to all these years that there was a constitution. That was a lie. We are just now. No, I'm not gonna say this. I'm not gonna say we're figuring this out because you just studied Huey's dissertation.
Yeah.
And it was clear to them that the Constitution was bullshit.
Yeah, it was. Right. I mean, listen, the fastest time in United States history that there was ever any type of gun control legislation was when niggas showed up in Sacramento with on the Capitol.
Talking about stick them up.
Like 2A went away because like it just Ronald Reagan was like, oh, y'all are crazy. Oh, no. Guns is for us. It's for us good, upstanding white people, baby. Ain't you seen a Western? I did a bunch of those. This guns is not for you.
Guns are for Kyle Rittenhouse, not for Philando Castile. That's the way this world works, right? It's not for Trayvon Martin. But what I'm saying is, a lot of us did fall into the trap of believing that we lived in a country and that our country had rules and that there were some firewalls. Like, this whole thing about like the checks and balances, the courts and the Supreme Court and the executive branch and blah, 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 this interplay between the two, and then Congress. and then, it just takes like a year for people to figure out, yeah, you know what? That always was a lie, just so y'all know.
But even in that case, though, right? Well, you got to look back to those black and white pictures. There's some in color too, probably, but there was a Thurgood Marshall. You know what I'm saying? Like even in that, right? Like the way the NAACP was moving then versus how the NAACP is moving now. Like national, I love my local branch, but like national, you know what I'm saying? Like
I'm not gonna do it, bro. Like listen, here comes the provocative. Here's a hot take. Thurgood Marshall sold us down the river.
I mean, you can.
Say it. Somebody should say it.
Do you think he intentionally sold us down the river, or do you think it was unintended consequences?
Okay, so let me give you just the fastest story that will help you understand.
And for reference, I'm talking about before he became a Supreme Court justice.
Absolutely, I'm talking about the Brown. I'm talking about Brown. Him and Charles Houston.
Okay,
their work on Brown, and them thinking that the schools was the place to do it because it was the easiest place rather than all the other places. So here's a quick story that's an aside about the Black elite at the time and the Black normal people, right? So when Fannie Lou Hamer came to New York to give her speech, to talk, they did everything they possibly could do to block her from talking. And all she wanted was for the real Black Democrats of Mississippi to be seated at the convention like everybody else. And they were kind of suppressed. So she goes up to New York. She starts giving this speech, whatever. But before she gets there, the white folks go to Roy Wilkins and King and others and say, you got to stop that from happening. And Roy Wilkins is quoted as saying, somebody needs to go and tell that ignorant woman to go back down south, right? And I'm saying ignorant woman, right? But what he was saying is, we're the good Negroes. We're the NAACP. We wear good suits. We speak good English. We speak well. They treat us very well. And just so you know, Roy Wilkins was here in Minnesota, right? So he's a Minnesota black man, right? Which is very different than Fannie Lou coming up from Mississippi, right? Now, I'm only pointing out that dynamic to say that like that dynamic was in place when we had the NAACP pushing the fact that Black schools were inferior, rather than pushing the fact what the Black educators was telling them to do was we need equal resources.
Yeah,
that's what we need. We need equal goddamn resources.
Right.
We don't need to fire all of our teachers and all of our principals and shut down our Black schools just because they're Black. And they lost that fight because of the elite, the light-skinned elite, the Roy Wilkinsons of the world. That's why they lost that battle. That battle should have been equal resources, and we'd be better off today for it.
Yeah, we still have it. Well, we still have a strong Black teaching corps. That'll be for sure.
But
even if I'm talking about Huey channeling that, there would be at the very least a Black teachers union. That, you know what I'm saying? That
there used to be one
comes together and wields some power.
Mhm.
And it would be so much easier if y'all were on the same page with just 2 or 3 guided principles. Y'all would have the traditional teachers, black teachers, and the charter black teachers. And who knows what that could be. Like,
teachers joined the bougie kind of, I mean, that became the first middle class job, right? For a lot of people.
Yeah. And
so
you
they
built the
became like the other
union to
teachers.
protect it from to protect white people from black people. That is why that thing came.
Yeah.
Like, so and those black people were not allowed to even be in that union when they if they got a job there at all. Like, just overnight with the turn of a key, like Thanos snap, you just eviscerated an entire workforce of educators to proportions where we have not cracked 5%.
And we're sending our kids. That's who we're turning our kids over to every day. That's the dynamic,
right?
So we can say these things because we've done like 5, 6, 7 years of podcasting, right? We've done years of podcasting, bro. We've told these stories. We've said these things before, but my major question now is: there is nothing stopping us from educating our own children.
Nothing.
Except for us. And I think it might be a class problem in some cases because you got some people that are trying, our own people that are trying desperately.
Everybody not doing as bad as everybody was before.
Right. We're not all in the same boat.
Right.
But you would think so. So I think I said this last time around. Maybe I said it with you. Maybe I said it with someone else. No, I said this with Shaka on another podcast. The anger that is being expressed right now from Black ed reformers who are waking up to their funding cut and cuts from white philanthropy world and education philanthropy world. The anger that they feel is not really with white philanthropists. It's with the fact that they have to depend on white philanthropists to do the work, and that there are Black philanthropists in the world who have no national agenda for our children. Right. We're talking about one, and I'm not going to name names. We're talking about one who has like Star Wars money. Right.
Okay. All right.
She's in your city, bro. Star Wars money, married into Star Wars money. And you know what I mean? The actual dude, right?
Yeah.
Married to the actual dude. You have another dude in your city by the name of John Ariel, one of the wealthiest Black men in the country, right? He's got the investment firm right there in Chicago. You got the Robert Smith and you got the Oprahs of the world. You definitely got the Obamas, hundreds of millions of dollars and social capital. Yeah. Like if Obama called a convention tomorrow, we're going to have a Negro convention.
If Obama could open up his own university, he can open up a chain of universities. He could say, this is the new HBCUs in the Northwest.
He could say, I'm going to go be the president of HBCUs. We're going to get some money in these things. Absolutely. Yeah, we're going to upgrade. We're going to have a HBCU upgrade. And
not only will I leverage and utilize these Black billionaires, but I know all the other billionaires. They all want to be friends with me.
That's right. I mean, the phone call list he could call right now, right? He could call foreign leaders, right? He could call. Yes. Anyways, my only point is those doing the work on the ground and the grassroots are fighting a very frustrating battle every day against the people that don't seem like they even care themselves. And we have our people that have something. We are not broke. And every 5 minutes, somebody trots out this stat that if we were a country, we would be number 11 or, something like that. Right. Well, we're not a country. Right. That, Huey and those folks were talking about nationalism. They were talking about Black nationalism.
Right.
When was the last time you heard anybody talk about like we're nation building? I just want a village build now. Nation building seems like out of the question.
I worked for one woman that did talk like that, and I still love her. You know her as well. I won't say her name here because I don't know. I don't want to expose her. But she was always very clear when we came together, and she would say, "I have nothing against your intersectionality, but in here it's a Black space first. Like it is a Black agenda first." And then those other subgroups, that's after. It's almost like a Royal Rumble. Like we got to get the biggest problem. We got to get Andre the Giant out the ring first. We can fight amongst each other, but we all got to beat him up first. And just on a strategy level, her thing was like, you don't have to even agree with that notion, but like, let's clear the board. Like, let's like make it an easier fight, and we don't do it. So that's the one person I know that stands.
Why don't we do it?
Because I don't think everybody really wants to do that. Because again, some people are doing really, really well. Like I don't have where I am in my life. Like I do okay. I make a little paper, and I move to the type of community that I grew up in. Like I'm not living in like some, I live like in the type of place where I grew up in, because I think that's important. I think it's important to imprint and have a place and build a place where somebody can always call home. Like that's why I may always keep this house or some version of it, even if I buy another one, because I grew up homeless, right? Like there needs to be a place where you can go. And so it's hard to then, after somebody's achieved that, especially when they came from nothing, to then ask them to not only risk it, but risk it for a lot of people that's also not willing to do it for themselves and join you. Like that's a hard thing to take. Like it's a different level of commitment when you break it down like that.
Do you think it would be unfair to say that the portion of our population is broken and too broken?
I can't say that because I'm a part of that population, and
no, you're not though. No, you're not.
That's where I came from.
You came from it, but it's okay to outgrow your story. What I'm saying right now, there are people right now that there are people right now that don't have the information that could hurt them.
Right.
And you have the information that could hurt you, right? Like I do. We do, right?
Right.
And it used to be that we had a pretty good communication system across class and race, inside the house and outside the house,
right? The
North and the South, the city and the rural. Like we had some form of communication system. I don't know what happened to that, what broke down to that. You know, one thing I did read recently that was interesting. I don't think I read it. It may have come up in a news clip or whatever, was that the biggest divide right now that is being antagonized is an education divide. And the more educated you are, the more transient you are. The number of people who have never been outside of 100 miles from where they live.
Yeah, man.
And the difference in how they think versus how the rest of this jet setting world thinks, right?
Yeah.
Like we got status on Delta.
Right.
Right. The number of people who've never been more than 100,
you know, I got the purple one now so I can get the lounge. But yeah.
See, I mean, you know, here I was in the Centurion Lounge in DC, like, this food is bullshit.
Right. Not satin, baby, silk.
Yeah, right.
Silk.
I was in there.
Like, and at least we're being honest about it. But that's what I'm saying. But that's why I got to put on that's why I can't leave that class. I can't leave that group. I'm a part of that group. I came from it. I understand. Like, and sometimes, man, you just gotta go with what you know to like get through. You know what I'm saying? Like I just remember
what you did, social work.
Yeah,
and I think social workers get burned out.
They do
because they hear after a while of working with the people,
like, it's not just burnt out. You don't just burn out. Burnout is just like, I don't want to do this no more. But you become it's taxi driver. It's like everybody's a demon. Like, what the fuck is happening? I never want to do this again. I'm trying to help you, right? Or damn, this system. Why are you trying to fuck them? Why? I'm trying to. You hear me defending you? Like, why are you mad at me? Like, oh, we got to do this one thing. It's you get disillusioned, man. You don't just burn out. You get disillusioned. I didn't mean to jump in.
No, that I mean, what you just said is true. It's like, but the thing that gets you disillusioned is working with the people. I mean, as much as people would love to say that they could do that work, not everybody could do that.
It's hard, man.
So it's hard work,
it's
right?
Hard.
Like the case notes
and
alone.
Sometimes you got to go through the very, very worst of us to get to the best of us, and it's very difficult.
It is very difficult work, and God bless them. That I will say this about the social workers, because you mentioned the thing about teachers, Black teachers needing a Black teachers union, or at least a caucus where they have some power to disrupt things. Black social workers disrupted the National National Association for Social Workers meeting years ago. This is a long time ago. There's a great book about it, and they took over the meeting because Black social work was not being prioritized,
right,
and looked at. And then they got a modicum of power within social work,
right,
because they took it. Well, anyways, listen, we already started talking about what my topic was for tonight,
Okay.
so it's right in line with what we've been saying, anyways. So I wrote this piece a while back called "In American Public Education, in the American Public Education System, Black Children Are the New Cotton." And you have been after me to write the thing, to write the thing, and this is the best version of the thing that I have right now. It's if y'all want to go look for it, you can find it.
Can I be your writing accountability partner? Because the book is in you, bro. Let's just let it pour out. Me, you can dictate it, man. Like, and we can clean it up. Like,
well, and the reason I come back to this though is a lot of it is in this piece. This piece can be expanded upon because the chapters are all here of a lot of what I believe is the analysis, using historic and contemporary sources to take a look at where we are and what we could be doing and all that. And at the end of the day, a lot of it is in line with what you say, is that not only are we on our own, but we have all that we need.
Right.
We should add that second part.
So much more.
We have so much more. And right now I'm trying to talk people into starting schools or starting co-ops or starting programs, after school program, anything. You can start small. Everybody could do something small.
Start a book club.
Right? And and read.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
But it's there. The possibilities are there. I am going to finish this piece. I brought this one up because this was a while back, and it was the clearest I could be. I'm now updating it, so I'm writing it now. And the newsflash that I'm not going to bury the lead. The lead is what we just said. If we care about Black children, we have what we need to be able to do something for them very different.
Right.
Like right now. So who do we have to convince? Seriously, like who do we have to go to? I mean, we just said if Obama was convinced, the world would be very different.
It would be.
So who do we got to convince Obama? I only know one person. No, I know two people that know him really well directly.
I don't know if you get to Oprah, but who you know to get to her? I don't know, man. I mean,
there's people in your universe that could get to him quickly.
Think so? I don't know, man. But maybe. I don't know. I guess, man, what I'm saying, and again, I'm not, this isn't some talented 10 pipe dream type thing. It's just saying like there's influence there. People like influencers. Thank you, Mama Toya. We appreciate you. I'm glad that you watch and support everything.
Talented 10th, it's the untalented 90. That's
right. Right. Like I'm glad Du Bois introduced Anne Fern, and a decade later, was like, I was tripping.
It turns out
all our great Black philosophers got that moment too. Like King, when he at towards the end, he was just like, did I integrate us into a burning building, bro? Like, and the voice, the talented 10th niggas. I don't know. I thought that we was on a different vibe, but they got their stuff, and they was like, we're different from y'all.
You and I have had this conversation before in previous podcasts. We've talked about this dual fight between Du Bois and Du Bois, apparently, I guess is how he said
yes.
Du Bois. Anyways, and Mr. Atlanta Compromise, Booker T. Washington. And, reading both of them, I took sides at one point. Early on, I took sides. I was like, listen, y'all got all this like woke nonsense backwards, right? Like you build 5,000 schools.
Right.
I don't care what it took you to say to get the money to do it.
That's what I'm saying.
I don't care who you had to meet with. Listen, he got that money from Sears and Roebuck, the world's largest retailer. I don't know. People listening to this just won't know how big Sears was.
Right.
Sears was it, right?
I'm in Chicago.
And the president
it will forever be the Sears Tower to me. What is the Willis Tower? I don't know. I know the Sears Tower.
I forgot about the Sears Tower. Yeah, that's how big these people were.
And the biggest building in the world Sears, at one point.
He said to Booker, I guess you just need schools. So let's put some money together. Blah, blah. Now, meanwhile, people are all playing him off like he's the biggest Clarence Thomas ever.
Right.
We still doing this. We teaching people in classrooms to do this woke nonsense around like it's a fight between two people. First of all, it wasn't a fight. And second of all, people hate me if you want to. Send me hate mail. I don't care. One of them died alone in Africa, very upset and mad about his life and disillusioned about what he had thought about and written his whole life. The other one passed away knowing that millions of people were going to get an education because of him. Millions. This dude came out of poverty. Worse than poverty.
No. He didn't come out of poverty. He came out of poverty. He came out of slavery.
Slavery, right?
Yeah.
Bruh, stop it. He came out of slavery. And y'all think this is a fight? You think this is what he said was, if we don't have capital, if we don't own our institutions, we will never be free. That's really what he said. Yeah. Now, he was taking people's money and saying whatever they wanted them to say at the moment up front, but he was even funneling that money into civil rights lawsuits with nobody knowing it.
But he was also saying, and you got to know how to build and fix your own shit. So these are the jobs. Like,
I mean, we got to know how to build bricks. He was like, we need bricks. How do you make bricks? Well, we better figure it out. And guess what? Those buildings were made with black brick makers, not layers, makers.
Yeah.
If you ask me right now how to make a brick,
right? Bro, I'm telling you, we're a different tenor of man, bro. And again, and I admire both these men so much for different reasons. But again, I have to educate when I tell people, because people be like, you admire something from Booker T. Why is it like, what are you talking? Like, the man put numbers on the board. What, like, we're talking about somebody that built tangible things you can touch. And I appreciate the first black PhD. I appreciate that. But it's like that intellectualism does not replace like cabbage. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Let me
like,
ask you a question.
It doesn't do it.
How many charter schools are there in the United States?
I think it's less than 10% or something. It's even lower than that, maybe.
Yeah, it's like 7%, but it's like, I want to say it's like 6,500 schools.
Okay.
For all that we talk about with charter schools, for all that we talk about, all this fighting that we do, there's a little over 6,000, I think, is the number now. This man built 5,500 schools during that time, and they were all his. They weren't like, Uncommon Schools here and Success Academy over there. No. One man years ago built almost as many what we have today are charter schools. Now, I'm a charter supporter, but I just don't think we use the vehicle enough.
I don't either.
It could be a great vehicle for us. There's other vehicles too. We have, black superintendents in this country.
Oh, man.
We don't want to make it all about being outside.
Well, they just fired. Oakland just fired his longest tenured black female from Oakland superintendent who was doing a stellar job, and not stellar, but just doing well. And her contract was coming up. It was just such a waste of resource and time. And her and I worked together when I worked in the same district. We worked the West Oakland corridor, together. And, I think she's brilliant. But again, they got rid of that lady on some bullshit. And it's
why?
There is no why. It's because Oakland likes to shoot itself. OUSD likes to shoot itself in the foot. And I say this to somebody who worked in the building. I worked next to the big office. I went into every community and set up the superintendent's parent forum. And we talked directly to those people. And people did not like that. We didn't hide behind the data. We stood in front of it. We used it to motivate. We didn't try to put a spin on it. We fucking your kids up. Your kids can't read, cuz.
And they don't care. They really don't care. Because you know what? The more we
tell you that the school, we need your support in the school now. And then 5 years later, when we got to close the school, and then everybody comes.
Black children are the new cotton, because as long as they keep them in the building, their body, not their minds. As long as they keep them, then it's a pension, right? Now, I don't want to say this about all educators, because the point I was going to make was I'm very firmly now seeing that traditional public schools and systems are a huge part of our arsenal, right? We act like we don't have entire school systems, but the more you look at it, it actually really is true. There's some very black school districts in this country.
Yeah, absolutely.
And this is something that's about to happen. I'm making a prediction. Some cities like Oakland and others are so abusing their superintendents that they're not going to be able to get good superintendents, because superintendents call people before they take a job.
Absolutely.
And they like, is the board crazy? And when they hear, yeah, the board's crazy as hell. Now you start having, it's a harder time for search agents to find you somebody.
You got
When
to
you're
get somebody
about
who's
to
an upstart, somebody who
this is my point.
ready to make the jump.
You're gonna start seeing 30-something superintendents.
Mhm.
And when you do, that's going to be a good time because you can get to them early and be like,
Yeah.
you don't have to do things the way everybody else has done it.
Right. You can get the innovation.
Yeah, you get the innovation,
You
and you're about to have
knowledge, but
younger.
what is it worth if it was already terrible? So
I mean, you can't go anywhere but up. Take a gambit, do something, right? You can start new schools, brand new schools. You could close bad schools. You can actually get your educators together to get real about what they need to do for their kids. Right. There's just so much you could do. So anyways, my main point in what I wrote that I'm going to keep following up on really is that this moment is urgent now. We've been saying this for years, like, we are the ones that we needed to come along or, all that type of stuff. Well, like it's time for that to come true. Right. Because if I were to make predictions about where our kids will be 5 years from now and 10 years from now, this is what I want people to do. Be honest with yourself. What do you think is the prediction? Take all the numbers that you have in your mind right now about where we are today with our kids, and then forecast. I need you to give an accurate forecast of how you think we're going to be living in 8 years and 10 years from now. How are kids going to be doing then? Better than they're doing now?
I don't know. I think the mental health thing is going to go one rung lower to hell from where it is now. We're gonna get closer to completing Dante's Inferno. I think. I think we are. I think the reading numbers are gonna stay stagnant. Maybe go up like a percentage of a point. Is it really sad? And I think the standards are gonna just be lowered again, or they're gonna find a way to just fully use race or intonations to talk about how a standardized score is against you, and find a way to abolish it and not replace it. Mm-hmm. And I think that's going to be terrible. Mm-hmm. I can agree that the test may be racially biased, but we've been knowing that for 30 years now. And the test, so why isn't there a new test? Like, because you still I still need to track how well you're doing. And I need an apples to apple comparison so we can actually measure some things, because God forbid, mm-hmm. And like, and I think it's anti-Black to say that Black people don't like statistics. I think that's bullshit. And I think it's a lie from do not ever disrespect my entire race like that.
I think you're right. I mean, I think there's some other things, and you do some of this work that we need to be thinking about too, is kids don't want to do the type of work, like they're on some new stuff, and our kids have ingenuity, and we're not paying enough attention to it, I think, because I'll give you one good example. Americans, I just saw this today, Americans largely favor bringing back manufacturing jobs to America as long as someone else works them. Yeah. Americans don't want to work these jobs, but they want them to come back. Meaning they want somebody else to do this work. Man, listen, I told this story last week.
My father would have killed one of those jobs, to be honest.
Bro, listen, stop it. Like,
that's good work.
Generation back. When I was doing workforce development work years ago, we took high schoolers out to look at the railroads, because the railroads were about to retire a bunch of people. And the job was starting at like $80,000 a year, starting.
Damn.
Right out of high school. And we took them kids to show them, like, you want to make $80,000 a year right out of high school, not have to go to college. And they were like, yes. We showed them that job. They were like, hell no. Hell no. Nah, cuz I can't do it. I can't do it.
I mean, that's kind of who you want working a railroad, right? Some 19-year-old kid that's like can eat hot dogs all night. And
turns out you had to be single. It turns out it was good for single men.
Okay.
Who like to live in their thoughts by themselves for days on end, for weeks on end, right?
Is this pre-iPod? I mean, what are we talking, bro? You know what I'm saying?
You don't want to be, iPodding it when you got like
one ear.
So, but I mean, my only point in saying that is that people keep inventing new work, and our kids oftentimes aren't at the front of the line on those things, but then they innovate them. And then meanwhile, we're still trying to get them to do things like manufacturing.
And even when it's in your backyard, like the Bay Area.
This is one reason why I think the right is never going to win. as much as like people are wringing their hands or whatever, it's getting bad right now. But I feel like the one thing that's giving me hope is the one thing they've never been able to win is culture. They have terrible culture.
They're trying right now, though. They're trying right now.
They're trying, but it's already flailing, and half of it comes from white boys who got their shit from black dudes.
Yeah,
right. Like it's the white version. It's Chet Atkins, or not Chet Atkins. Chet Hanks saying this is about to be white boy summer with a black voice, right? It's like this white rapper I just saw out now. His first track, he disses all the black rappers. He's like the anti-Eminem. He's like, nah, I'm going after all these dudes, and I'm gonna clown all of them. But he looks like a MAGA dude, right, in his backyard. They are terrible at producing culture. This is why they hate Hollywood. This is why they hate music. This is why they hate cultural trendsetters. This is why they hate, they hate these people with the passion, and they want to shut it down because they know that they have very weak cultural producers. They really do.
You think so? I think with the rise of country, I think with the
rise of country, but rise where? That shit is
not right. No, but it's been growing. It's been growing. Hip hop was struggling for a long time. It just got back to the top of the charts, like for the first time in a really long time. But I mean, I get you. I also don't want to give rugged culture to the right wing. Like I don't want to give them that. There's a ton of black people or progressive people that like cowboy boots. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't want to just give them that. I get you, and I don't
listen. I don't think that.
But I get what you're saying as far as like. Yeah, I get what you're saying.
It's undeniable. The whole world knows that Black Americans run culture and that gay Americans run Hollywood.
Absolutely. There's no argument for me about that part.
Yeah. There's no, and that's where everybody's, clothing styles and whatever that they produce in China.
But we got to start piping some potpourri into that influence. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I don't want bum nigga like culture to be running the culture. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I think.
Well, the good thing is that they're taking that over. That's the good thing. The good thing is that they're like, we're giving that over to them. They're taking that part over.
Y'all can take that. Y'all can have the reality shows. I mean, my thing is like, because I love Black culture, and when I think about Black culture, I think about families and I think about people coming together with food, like, and again, anybody. This is the thing about culture that I love. I'm Black, so I'm telling myself the Black superstar cultural stories, but I'm not mad when Italians do it, right? Because an Italian person could be watching being like, yeah, we do the eating and food thing too, right? It's not about exclusion. But when I think of Black culture, I think of very positive things. And I think that like those things need to be brought back into the fold and allow spaces to breathe. But we do have people, you can call them mouth breathers if you like, that tend to excoriate when they see Black families, or we try to focus on Black fathers and talk about them. It'll be somebody that looks like us that'll come in and be like, nobody care about them niggas, like Black mamas only, like, you know what I'm saying? Or like when you used to flirt with the idea of just like, hey, if I agree with everything that you said on on toxic masculinity, great. If I say that we got to do better, great. Now, can we I'm with you. I've agreed 110%. We got to do better. We are trash at times. Mm-hmm. Hey, what about toxic Black feminine? What? Like, wait, we can't even call it out. We can't. We saw that video of that young man talking about how his mama talked to him. You've brought videos to us where we've been like, dude, don't make us be the Black people that got to show this video of this mama, slapping this boy upside the head in the middle of the street, or doing some crazy stuff, or scamming child support. You know what I'm saying? And like breaking somebody down. But.
See, danger zone. We need a red light that flashes when we get into the danger zone.
But Chris, my question is, if it's good for the goose, it's good for the gander. So don't we get on cops that say that they're good cops, but they stand around when the bad cops are bad copping? Don't we get on teachers that say that they're good teachers, but don't ever correct or allow the bad teachers to be there? So by that logic, if you are a Black person who loves Black people and loves your family and loves these but you still let degenerate culture rip up the minds of young people and lead us astray.
Yeah.
Don't that ain't the same logic? What does that make us if you allow it?
Well, I mean,
and I'm just asking. I'm genuinely asking.
No, I feel like You cannot have an honest discussion about black men and black males without acknowledging the fact that they come from somewhere. And many of them, the somewhere that they come from is the hands of a woman. Now, this could get into really ugly territory. I don't care, because you cannot talk about black men not being vulnerable and not wanting to share their feelings and blah, blah. You can't look at a fully grown ass man and have criticisms and critiques about his lack of tenderness and understanding when you go back and look at how he was raised and who he was raised by. And you don't think there were going to be reverberations of that when you are a 6-year-old boy and somebody's whooping your ass and telling you ain't nothing. Am I going to be surprised 20 years later when you are not wanting to share your feelings, not wanting to be vulnerable,
right?
With your girlfriend, not wanting to be intersectional. Yeah, you might call it toxic masculinity. You might also call it like this is the outcome of something else.
Right. We look at the root of everything else. We look at the root of everything else.
Bro, listen, go visit, because I tell people this all the time. Go visit a kindergarten and look at those children, and you will see like a light in their eyes. Man. You will see they are fun, and it's fun to play with them.
Whatever, man.
Bro, listen, first grade, second grade, third grade, shit starts going downhill, right? So all that buoyant kind of child stuff you got going on in black boys in kindergarten, they figure it out pretty quick somewhere along the lines. Y'all against me. Yeah. I thought I was a kid. So what's this say? So true. Dr. King even said something along the lines, in hostile times, it won't be the harsh words of our enemies we'd recall, but the silence of our friends. Paraphrase. Good. Yes. Right now, the silence of my friends who are, who we used to be homies on some other stuff, but I had to go solo because I saw it coming. Who said that? Right? Ice Cube. I had to leave the band because our friends are being silent right now.
About which band is that?
So, which band is what?
The band. You had to leave the band. Which band is that?
That's a school choice band. That's the Ed Reform band. That's the philanthropic industrial complex education style band who, in the face of a moment like right now, as we're being erased from classrooms and curriculum and books and libraries, and having teachers get fired for saying the wrong thing, and having teachers get put on discipline for having the wrong flag in their classroom, not being able to wear a BLM pin if they wanted to, one principal getting fired because he had a picture of his wife up and his wife was white, and another one had a picture of a same-sex marriage, and so at a moment when the shit we fought for so many years is like blowing up right in front of our face, it's the folks that get on my nerves the most are the ones who are saying, well, I don't know, let's see what we can do with this. I mean, these new policies aren't so bad. Let's see if we can work with the devil. Let's see if the devil, let's just see. Right. Yeah, I've seen your house. I know why you just want to wait and see. I mean, you want to wait and see because your kids are going to be just fine because you got money now, because you done did this thing. And if you say the wrong thing or do the wrong thing right now, that money is going to dry up. Nobody knows that better than me right now. I don't give a damn. Right. I would feel like a sucker for not saying the thing that I saw. I'm not saying I'm always right. I'm just saying what I saw. I know what I saw with my own eyes. I know what I heard with my own ears in these rooms where not everybody gets to be in. I would be a sucker if I wasn't saying what I'm saying right now. I don't care what the consequences are. But anyway,
but stay there though, because let me run it through. The experiment of the mind experiment that I've been having on Substack with the Huey P. Newton series. With my logic and emotional brain, I know that is absolutely true. And that was, she said, good is often mute while bad is loud. That was a continuation. She got cut off. But let's say, like I know, I didn't want to lose my train of thought. Let's run it through that lens, right? Like, so I know that through my logical brain that this is all true. This person is terrible. These policies are terrible. There's this coup happening. All these things are happening. There's this, and that none of it means to do us well, whatever. But your agentic brain then asks, well, hey, if I live in somebody's house, they get to say what I do if in this school, because it's not my school, it's their school, it's their house. But if I'm a man, if I'm really a man and I take care of my family and I worked my ass off and I bought a house, and then somebody tries to tell you what you can do in that house, if you can kiss your wife, if you can hug your child in your house, right? So when you got your own school that is independent, you can call all the fucking numbers you want to call because it doesn't matter, because this is mine and I built it. And this is, and so if Huey or King could be transcommuted, right? X could be just show up here with no context. It'll be like, oh, wait, y'all still at they schools? I thought we told you. I thought I showed. wait. You said you're upset about what? That they're not teaching your kids how to read? But I think I told you not to let your enemy educate your children. So again,
like
you're
what
not
part of that was
right.
mysterious.
You're right, but sometimes when I'm pushing back on you, it's not my logical brain or my emotional brain. It's my agentic brain that can't allow the luxury of thinking like that, because nobody's coming to save us and nobody's going to do it. But if I have to think from that agentic mindset and my survival is tied to that, then I go back to that poverty level thinking of I need to survive and innovation because I don't have the resources, and bam, I'm thinking in that way now. And now I magically, I do have resources. We should be fucking out of here.
I mean, but let's just talk with practicality in one way. I got in trouble years ago in school for writing a piece about Huey Newton. And the reason I got in trouble was that we were only allowed 3 people. We were assigned. And part of the class had to do this person, another part of the class had to do another person, blah, blah. And here I was just going to do my own thing because I'm my father's son. Yeah, I'm my father's son. And I knew I knew I could get in trouble at school. I would never get in trouble at home for it. So I was like, whatever, call my parents, let's see how this works out. Yeah, I'll be happy to see how this shit works out. Right. So anyways, I wrote that piece, whatever. The only point that I'm trying to make in that is my dad would have figured that would have happened back then because he knew that the system was jacked up or whatever. But here I am at my age seeing schools now. It would be possible that you could lose your Title I money for allowing a student to do exactly what I did, right? Lose your Title I money.
Yeah.
Right. Like the new Secretary of Education has put them all on warning, sent them a letter. The letter basically said, we don't like any of that race shit. Yeah. And if you teach any of it and we find out
it needs to be our race shit.
Exactly. And if we find out about it, we will take hundreds of millions of dollars out of your hands for your kids. Right. That to me is some realistic shit. That's some. So for the people who are saying, well, I don't know, she's all that bad. Let's just see if we can go talk to her and work with her. Okay.
I mean, I do think you still got to have the conversations if it's there.
Somebody does.
But not you, but then the people in power. So King, King had to still go have those talks with LBJ, right? And maybe maybe you got to be a good salesman or a hustler or somebody that can make some good deals. I mean, but we got to remember though, right? Her purpose is to close it down. Her purpose is to cause that type of chaos. So they're doing what from a strategic level. They're using their bully pulpit and they are bullying. And they are doing carrot and stick, and it's a lot of stick. It's way more stick than carrot. But you can do that when you hold all the cards. You can do that. And again, when you decide that you're gonna not build with the brand new resources that are exponentially better than what we've had, you decide not to use them. Then, in some level, right? Like it's like. There's a refusal here. These are the same people that.
Well, number one, you don't know that you're building anything better. Let's just start with that because
I don't know.
I'm not a fan of moving 8 million black kids out of a system that has some tracking and has some accountability and putting them out into the netherworld.
It's never the 8 million though, right? It's proof of concept.
I know, but
it's one church school that you start with. You know what I'm saying? And then a few more people in the neighborhood come, but before you know it. Everybody and their grandparents done went to that school. I'm just saying, like, you have to build institutions, you got to start. There has to be a first step somewhere. There has to be.
I agree 100%. It's got to be in your hands. Right. There's a lot of people in this wild, wild west that are about to take a bunch of your kids on a journey. And in 5 to 10 years from now, we're going to come back and figure out that they didn't learn how to read.
Yeah.
Right?
And to be fair, a lot of Black people,
and we're not going to find out because there won't be any data.
And that's why we're the fastest growing homeschool group in America.
Yeah. People keep saying that stat. It's not very fast. It's the fastest growing because it's so few. Yeah. Right. Like, I mean, the reality is if you want to put some capital into the market for Black folks to have some means of production for their own education, I'm all for it. If you want to do what they did with a lot of charter schools is give a whole bunch of white boys from San Francisco jobs in different parts of the country, running agencies that funnel the money to people of color and put it through a pass through, that doesn't give us any more power than what we have right now. In a lot of ways, that's been done before. Right. Mm-hmm. And I already see the San Francisco white boys lining up to make that happen. Right. And I'm picking on San Francisco, but it's just funny how like you go to New Orleans or Birmingham and blah, blah, and you'll meet somebody and they'll be like, oh, yeah, well, I wasn't originally from here. Where was you from? Oh, well, the Bay Area. Oh, okay. All right. Or New York. Mm-hmm. Anyways, like, listen, like all things, if we own it, I think we will survive.
Yeah.
If we own it. But we have to be honest with our parents because there's going to be a lot of people knocking on their door right now. Just like you have speculators knocking on their door trying to get them to sell their grandma's house.
I get a call every week about this house.
You're going to have people knocking on your door.
And they are not Black people.
And you're going to have people knocking on your door saying, hey, give us your kid. Give us your child. Like we're going to have this brand new, beautiful thing over here. They're going to go to SeaWorld. You get trampolines and shit.
Have you seen the new playground that kids play on? It's incredible.
Anyways, I don't mean to poo-poo the whole thing there. I am cynical about a piece of it because I feel like every 10 years people reinvent this way of taking us to the cleaners and they tell us that there's going to be something in it for us that's going to, whatever. And that's happened every decade. Every decade that something like that comes along.
But even if it ain't education, I mean, can it be knowing that we know how to grow our own food, we know how to build a house? Yes. Like we have an industry where we don't have to go outside of our group to like build me a home or build me a place where I can eat healthy food. And like, you know what I'm saying? Like it has to be something. It don't maybe it don't have to be this, but if you do that other part that I just said, right, maybe this comes naturally with it, like.
And I should clarify what I'm saying. I do think it should be the education thing. Right. I think we should be in control of it. That's the point I want to make. Absolutely. That's the point I want to make. It's not that I'm against it. It's just, number one, a lot of our kids are still going to be in regular public schools, so we don't want those to go to hell. They're going to have a lot of our kids. All the kids in Chicago aren't going into a homeschool next year.
Right. Absolutely not.
So if we start trying to attack the Chicago public school system because it needs changing, yes, it does, by the way.
I'm not even saying attack, though. I'm just saying build.
Yeah, build through it. There you go.
I mean, I'm just saying build, like build, it's a side project. Like just build on the side of it, and then maybe it becomes the thing. I just I'm not
build in it.
I'm saying it has to be something.
Yes.
Even if I would prefer it be education, but it has to be something. If it's going to be the economics thing, to be the economics thing, right? Like give me the Black Chinatown then. Like I'll go with that. I'll rock with that.
How you make that happen, though?
That's what I'm saying.
That's a community development grant right there.
Right. Like, but and the way you do it, and it's like, but then you got to have the conversation that a lot of people don't want to have, and they get uncomfortable when I say this, and I'll say what it is. It is the voluntary immigrant versus involuntary immigrant conversation. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. When you are an immigrant, when you have a home nation, a home place, a place that is baseline, and you come here, you have somebody has done it with a conscious decision, and they have seen and told themselves that there's going to be a better opportunity for us here, and I'm dedicated to figuring that out. Another group was just here. They were brought here. They haven't reconciled a lot of different things with that. Like, we still talking, like, are we African American or are we just Black American? Like, do I have a connection to Africa? Like, if that's the conversation that we're having, just around who are we, what are we? It's really difficult to then kind of be over here like, well, now let's build a school system, or let's build a Black Chinatown, right? Like a Black people town. You get what I'm saying? And like, we're not actively having those conversations. And I'm not talking about some internet Twitter shit where people are just being inflammatory, but like really investigating what that means. Like my lineage, my heritage is from there, but my lineage is here. So what does that mean for me if this is all I know? Well, if this is all I know, and I can love this place, and I own it. Like I need to be able to feel like I can claim some ownership. Like that's why I'm okay with, if you got to pick between African American and Black, call me Black. Because I want to let me feel ownership in this, because I don't have my mother is not from Italy. Like I can't go back to Sicily. You know what I'm saying? It's not that connection is not there. My mission of why I'm here, like there's a pressure on those kids that are third and fourth generation, whether they hear it or not is up to them. But like there's something that's very recent telling them, we made sacrifices for you, jackass. Now we expect you to go over there and run shit.
I feel like you just mentioned Italy. I feel like there's a lot of Italian Americans who don't have to be Italian Americans because they're white Americans.
That's true.
But they have a pride in the fact that they have a pride in the fact that they have contributed to civilization. There's a national story told that Black people never contributed anything to civilization. Right. We were always passengers and guests in somebody else's. So when you cut Black Americans off from the human story, the richness of the human story, you have a group of people walking around disoriented who believe that everything that is about them started here, that their life started with slavery. And I feel like there's a big difference between the attitude that you have when you're a white person thinking that, you gave the world the Colosseum, right, and Plato and Socrates and all of that. Yeah, even if you don't even know what those people said, even if you have no clue what they said, you walk around like, yeah, we built civilization. Not you, Skeeter. Hey. Not you, Skeeter. You didn't build nothing.
Hey, Caesar's in my lineage, B. What you talking about? You know what I mean? You know how MIB Caesar was my great. You know,
they think shit. They would have been hanging out with the founding fathers. They think that if they was back in that day, right? Yeah, me and George Washington would have been kicking it, bruh. You would have been serving. You would have been making his chicken for him at night.
No, you would. Yeah, you would have
with your shot. Peasant ass.
You would have got shot walking up on him like, who the fuck is that?
Because you know what? I think George Washington probably was the first president to love the poorly educated. And they all were after that, because right now you wouldn't have been them. You wouldn't have been them. But anyways, listen, this has been a great conversation. I think this is a great conversation.
I know this is really good. This was good. I'm not worried about a crowd. I thank everybody, Nandy, praying for patience, Toya, everybody that joined and commented. But yeah, this was really fun. And we got to just really
let it breathe.
The best conversation we've ever had.
Let it breathe. So for those of y'all watching, though, share it with others, because it's going to be hard to find this for now, for a minute or so. It's going to be hard to find it. So so you are our help in making that happen. And we will do our job to get it out there as much as we possibly can. This has been an episode of, what is it? 3 the Hard Way. We'll catch y'all on the next show. Peace.
Peace.